Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So on the previous video I talked about how the fundamentals understandings of like how the ban list works, like the certain kind of hits that a deck should be able to have when it comes to like their strategy. We talked about like there are three types of hits, being consistency, power, or splashability. Um, so this sparked up from one topic that came before it. Shout outs to Rocky Boy and Battle 12 if you're both watching this. I was in a discussion group with them, and they were addressing the fact that how can the Rikka deck be hit if the deck deserves a hit like at all. If we look at our current format, we already know that the Rikka Sunavalon deck is not like the most contending deck out there. However, this deck has had a lot of success. Not only did it win European Nationals, but it won it 2 years in a row. Adding to that, it also got multiple spots at Worlds. It had multiple spots the Nationals, the North American one. Shout outs to Michel Rosado. Um, so even though this deck is not super popular, it has a really good track record, and you can make the argument that it kind of falls into the place of unfamiliarity and people not knowing how to respond to the cards properly. But I feel like if a deck is doing very well in a format, there has to be some merit on the power level that the deck has, and that the deck should be addressed one way or another eventually. So if we look at the Rikka Sunavalon deck, we pretty much know that this is a one card combo deck. And not only is it a one card combo deck, but it's also a one card combo deck that has a plethora of extenders. It has a solid win condition. It sets up multiple interruptions. And not only that, but their levels of interactions with your opponent is from a lot of different avenues. If you saw two elements in the past, you already know that sometimes a format can be defined if you have a deck that has multiple layers of interruption outside of just one single form, being like monster interactions or spell and trap interactions. Like this deck feels very very similar to that, because not only does it have interruptions through monsters in your extra deck, but it also has like a trap interruption. It also has follow up. It has a way of using your opponent's monsters. It has negations from the board. It has interactions from the graveyard as well. Um, so now that we talk about like how strong is Rikka as a deck, we need to understand and like ask ourselves, is the deck worth hitting to some capacity? So I feel like with Rikka, there are two approaches that you can take to the deck. The first one is just like hitting a card in the archetype that really enables other plays, and like maybe like gutter a little bit of the consistency while also keeping the deck's power level at the same time, and just keep the win condition that the deck has to some degree. That's what they did with with Math Mech and with Salamangreat. They basically did hit like consistency cards that are very powerful in the deck. They hit the one card starter card, and the deck is still very playable, but opening these cards are not going to happen super frequent, which means the deck is significantly less powerful unless you open those cards. I guess I should talk about Miscellaneousaurus as well, because this also fits into the same category. The dinosaur deck is pretty much a full power except for this one card. And even though that the deck is really powerful, what it does, the deck just feels at another level if they open miscellaneous source or have a way to get to it. Um, Same thing with Luna Like Tiger. So the thing about cards like Luna Like Tiger is that these cards need to stay at 1, because if you put this card at more than 1, this card's not once per turn. So cards that are not hard once per turn are cards that need to be in check, because they can be abused more and more, and that will make this strategy like very, very problematic. So that's one approach that you can take with the deck. If you hit, for example, Genius Loci or the Rikka Petal, or even like something in the extra deck, like Aroma Seraphic Jasmine, you're keeping the identity of the deck and its lines the same way. However, it is more vulnerable to disruption. You have a little room for fallback, and your level of consistency is going to be gutted to some degree. So, what is the other approach you can take to the deck? I guess I spoke about Jasmine a little bit too soon, but hitting the extra deck is another option. Like hitting like the Dryas, or hitting like Jasmine, just to give an example. You can even hit cards like Strena to some degree. And if you do that, you keep the level of consistency in the main deck the same way. However, their approach in doing their combo is kind of be a little bit significantly higher for room of error, because you don't have a fallback when you're like doing your combo. Um, but yeah, like when it comes to this deck, Konami has to think very, very hard on it, because you don't want to make too many hits to this deck. However, this deck is warranted to receive some level of hit in some shape or form. If you are a Rikka player, or you're Jessica Robinson, um, like, let us know how this deck can be approached, because I am not a Rikka expert by any means. However, I have seen the deck perform. I have seen the lines that the deck can make, and I can tell you right now, this deck is very, very powerful at what it does. And if left unchecked, it could be a top contender in the next format, if the main outliers that beat this deck are actually addressed, which is like the more relevant decks like Kashtira, for example. But yeah, I hope you found this small talk a little bit informative. I just wanted to bring up this topic because there are some people who are already like approaching this deck in their ban list. Some people are not approaching this deck into their ban list, and I feel like this topic is going to spark up a little bit more and more as time goes on, because when you see a deck add more than 5 cards in a turn, you already know that the deck is kind of powerful. Like, look at Kashtira, Purely, Manadium, Dragon Link, just to give like good examples. Like, all of those decks can do all of that, and those are all top contender decks at the moment. But yeah, I hope you understood what I'm going with. I hope you found this video to your understanding. I hope you found this informative. Expect more ban list videos, or like topics and discussions similar to this very soon. Keep practicing and keep dueling.